Hello, my name's Paul Dixon. I'm a Norwich tour guide. I've made two short films about Kett's rebellion, which took place in July and August 1549. The first film looks at the story of the rebellion, and in the second, we go on to Kett's Heights to look at what remains of Robert Kett's headquarters. So what was Kett's rebellion? Well, it was a huge protest movement. 15,000 people descended on Norwich and camped on Mousehold Heath, protesting about the treatment of those who worked the countryside, treatment by the landowners. They wanted a much fairer society. Robert Kett from Wymondham, he was a farmer, also a leather maker, and he emerged as the leader of the rebellion. As you can see on this plaque, which is on Becket's Chapel in Wymondham, things did not end well for Robert, and he was executed in December 1549, hanged from the wall of Norwich Castle, and his brother was hanged from the tower of Wymondham Abbey. This is a print from a 1792 painting of Norwich. On the left here, we have the remains of St. Michael's Chapel, and it was in St. Michael's Chapel that Robert Kett had his headquarters. So if we were to look at this view today, we would see that this is Kett's Hill, and much more traffic going up and down here than the single cart you can see in this print. Now this is a 1589 map which shows St. Michael's Chapel. It also shows the Oak of Reformation. Now, it was under the Oak of Reformation that Robert Kett had most of his meetings and ran the camp. This is Protector Somerset, Edward Seymour. Now, he was running the country on behalf of King Edward VI. Edward VI was just a young boy. Now, Robert Kett wrote 29 requests, all looking for this fairer society, sent them down to Protector Somerset, and his reply was, "Go home, you're all a rabble, and Robert Kett, you're a traitor." Robert protested against this. He said he wasn't a traitor, he was a loyal subject and just wanted to improve the way in which the countryside was run. Protector Somerset sent an army up to Norwich to try and get rid of Kett's camp. This is the Marquis of Northampton who led the army. He only had 1,500 soldiers. On the 1st of August 1549, Kett's men smashed their way into Norwich over Bishop's Bridge. Now they had to come through this gatehouse, which no longer exists. The gatehouse was taken down towards the end of the 18th century. But here is Bishop's Bridge today. So they charged over the bridge, up Bishopgate, and they met the Royal Army on Palace Plain. And the leader of the Royal Army, who was second in command, Lord Sheffield, was killed, along with several members of the army. And the Marquis of Northampton decided it was best to retreat, and he went down to Cambridge and waited for a much larger army headed by the Earl of Warwick. Now, this was over 11,000 strong, and it had at least 1,500 professional mercenaries, much stronger army. When the Earl of Warwick arrived, he sent the herald, pictured here on the right, up to offer Robert Kett's followers a pardon. Now this is a painting of 1746 depicting the scene when the herald arrives to offer the pardon. Robert Kett is seated underneath the Oak of Reformation. If you're eagle-eyed, you'll see the spire of the cathedral here, and also we've got the castle, but it's in the wrong place because the castle's over here somewhere. Now at the back here we have St. Michael's Chapel. Now in the foreground, this is a young rebel bearing his leg, and he's about to bear much more than that. He bared his bottom. Not a clever thing to do, to bear your bottom at the herald, because you're bearing your bottom at the king. And this bodyguard here shoots the rebel. And as a result of this, most of Kett's followers stay and fight the Earl of Warwick to the end. Now here we have the marketplace. This is a painting that was painted by John Sell Cotman in 1809. But this is where the Earl of Warwick had to fight to get here and establish his headquarters. And there were lots of supporters of Kett in the city, all fighting the Earl of Warwick and making life difficult for him. What the Earl of Warwick did, he captured 49 rebels and he hanged them round this building. This was the Market Cross, which had been put up in 1502. And the Earl thought that by hanging 49 rebels, it would deter the rest from fighting, but it only enraged the rebels more. This Market Cross, by the way, was taken down in the early 18th century. And today, you can see in the market, there's a red mark going round, and that shows you where the actual Market Cross was placed. So, on the 27th of August, we have the final battle, and this is called the Battle of Dussindale. No one knows where the final battle was, but this chap, Leo Jarry, has done quite a lot of research in this book, is the result of his research. And he thinks the final site of the battle was on Magdalen Road, just outside the Magdalen Gates. And this is his reimagining of the battle, which was a defeat for Robert Kett. Some 3,000 of his followers were killed and just 250 members of the Royal Army. Robert Kett escaped, went north. He was probably trying to reach the North Norfolk coast to get a ship, but he was apprehended at Swannington, captured, as his brother was captured as well, and they were taken down to London to be tried and brought back to Norwich for their execution. Now this is Robert Kett's execution, and this is one of the brass plates on the door of City Hall. And Robert was hanged, as I've already said, on the wall of Norwich Castle. And this plaque was put up there in 1949, really to apologise to Robert Kett. And it says here, in 1549, Robert Kett, yeoman farmer of Wymondham, was executed by hanging in this castle after the defeat of the Norfolk Rebellion, of which he was the leader. In 1949, 400 years later, this memorial was placed here by the citizens of Norwich in reparation and honour to a notable and courageous leader in the long struggle of the common people of England to escape from a servile life into the freedom of just conditions. Now, to find out more about Kett's Rebellion, a good place to visit is Wymondham Heritage Museum. Now, I don't think it's going to be open this year, but it's definitely going to reopen in 2022. There's a really good exhibition about the rebellion. And there are also books about Kett's Rebellion which are on sale there. And if you Google Robert Kett, you'll find a lot about him online. So I do hope you will join me on my second film when I visit Kett's Heights.